Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the Infinity Midwife. So, welcome. If you have not subscribed or looked at those previous videos, I would invite you to go and look at them. We're gonna go right into part 7, I think, of my story. Now this is where it gets really interesting. Like I said, I've grown up with a lot of trauma, a lot of wounding around feeling abandoned, feeling rejected. I just want to put it out there. Those type of wounding. When you carry them and you're not really addressing them. Unfortunately, what happens is you are constantly vibrating. So your heart, because of the emotions that you carry that are heavy, those are really like heavy burdens. Okay. And for a long time, I had a lot of back pains, especially like around my neck. I would feel a lot of pain. That's because I was carrying so much burdens. Burdens from my childhood memories, burdens from feeling this type of abandonment and rejection. And so to me, I was still in that space of denial where I wasn't really looking at those part of myself that needed my attention. I was not there nurturing them. I was not there present for them. Like, I was not present for me. Okay, I was not present for the entirety of my being. Okay, so I was a lot in again, with the false mask of, being so helpful for everyone, being there for everyone, making sure everyone have their needs met. So that's in that position that I was in for a very, very long time, until I actually met the love of my life. I met this man, I was in my mid-20s. He was really the Prince Charming I've ever dreamed of. He was really he was in his prime time, and I guess I was in my prime time. And when we met, like, this instant knowing that that he was the one and I was the one for him, like, it was really profound, right? But because we had underlying issues, I knew I had some. I'm not going to be talking for him, but I'm pretty sure that where we were at in our individual process, we were carrying maybe some insecurities, maybe some things. I know I was carrying a lot of wounding. And so the way our relationship played out was, I would constantly trying to do things in order to feel relevant in the relationship, or feel approved or validated. So when it came to, because also it was a long distance relationship, so I would pour my heart into the relationship. I would overdo. I would try to make myself be seen, or like, we were not on the same level. Okay, in that relationship, although I really did fall in love with that person, we were not at the same level. And we had a lot of things that we were insecure about, being insecure about our future. What are we going to do? Where we're going to be living, the type of ambitions we have. So we wanted to be together, but I feel like there was a lot of unknown. We weren't necessarily seeing eye to eye on the type of ambitions we had, on the type of goals we wanted to achieve, and on the type of person we wanted to become. Like, I feel like we had good times when we were together. There was, yes, a lot of arguing in the relationship, but overall the feeling of being together was a good one. I felt really close to knowing him, and the love was really present. It's just that we were in a situation where ultimately we were growing, right? We had not still grown into being the person that we are today, or being the individual that I am today. And so I felt like although I really, really love this person, I was not yet prepared for the ultimate sacrifice of, maybe making that big move, or, leaving my family, in this part of the world and having to move someplace else. So there was a lot of uncertainty, we were just not, I guess, mature at the time. And so there was a split, after 3 years, there was a split. And, I did some awful things, and I think that that person did some too, and we kind of just went on our separate ways. It was not the best way, we could have done things differently, I guess, because we left an open chapter, in our separation. Because again, I was really stubborn with the things I wanted, with the things I thought I wanted. I thought I wanted a family. I thought I wanted children at that age. I thought I wanted to be a wife at that age. But, I came to realize that, I wanted all these things, but yet within myself, there was a lot of wounding. There was a lot of things that I had not addressed about myself. And so when we separated, it was really harsh. I feel like on both ends, it was really, really hard, because I ghosted that person. Okay. I was not genuine, I feel, because I felt like I was pouring my all into it, and that other person was not really, paying attention is not the word, but I feel like, we were just not seeing eye to eye on so many levels. And I felt like, maybe I just needed to do me and let that person do whatever they wanted to do again. So, I left that person behind, and I wanted to explore more of the world. I wanted to, know more about myself until I met, my children's father. Okay. When I met him, ultimately, I was not ready. I was not ready to be a mom or anything like that. And he wasn't either. He was much, much older than me. And there was a lot of things that, there was a lot of red flags, I guess, on both ends or on both parties. And when we got together, like, it really didn't take long before, I start having children with that person. But I just feel like, it's like, okay, let me just put it this, I'm sharing with you guys about personal things to me. And the reason why I'm doing this, not necessarily to put my business out there, it's just to provide more insight of how it is we attract and recreate our realities when we are doing it from a place of lack, from a place of unworthiness, from a place of hurt and pain. Ultimately, we are not taking full responsibilities of who we are, and ultimately we are attracting situations or maybe opportunities for us to grow. If we're not taking the opportunity to grow, if we're not taking the opportunity to help or to heal those part of ourselves, we're going to hit a wall, basically, is what I'm saying, is what I'm trying to say. So when I met my children's dad, I was manifesting. I was in the whole, I had dove deep into the science of, manifesting and how to manifest. And, I had all these vision boards of the type of man I wanted to manifest. Ultimately, I was asking the universe to bring me a guide, bring me a type of guru who would help me, heal the wounding or whatever it is that I was actually running away from. And the universe has a funny way of sending you people, situations to answer to your wish, And when that person came into my life, I realized very, very early on that the relationship was going to be very challenging for me. But I closed my eyes I closed my eyes. I again went into denial because, I became a mother. And then from becoming a mother, there are certain things that you see your parents do that you probably don't want to do. And because of my own wounding and situation with my own mom, feeling abandoned by her, I ultimately wanted to do everything. Like, I had put double pressure on my back to not repeat the same mistake, right? So when you are, again, stemming from a place of hurt and pain, you are not looking at situations and peoples and circumstances with objective eyes. You are usually doing it from a place of wounding. And when we do that, we're not taking clear decisions. We're not making clear decisions because, again, we're fogged by all this wounding and the trauma and the feeling of abandonment and the feeling of rejection. So in that relationship with my children's father, it was a very abusive relationship. Okay, I'll put it out there. Reason being is because I felt like I was really innocent. I didn't, like, it was my first time having a child. I was I was approaching my 30s. And I felt like, this person that I had manifested in my life, I thought that this was it. They were going to show me, or they were going to teach me, and ultimately they did, but in a very destructive way. Okay, it was not a healthy relationship. It was a very destructive relationship where there was a lot of codependency, there was a lot of toxicity, there was a lot of things I was not willing to see because, again, I had so much pressure of, when you have a family, when you have children, you as a woman, what are you supposed to do? You should accept the person that you're with in your life, with whoever you're having children with, because you don't want to repeat your parents' mistake, your parents' past mistakes and everything. So I was really in denial of all the gaslighting, of all the manipulation happening, of, all these things happening in front of me. Like, I would just shush. I was absolutely not emotionally available, not for myself and not even for my children. And that's the sad part. Like, that's really, really sad. When you think about it, you're like, wow, like, so much pain, so much suffering for what? At the end of the day, I was like, I would cry many, many nights. And this was ongoing for like, close to like 8 years, right? I had three boys with that man, and in those 8 years, there was a lot of abuse, like psychological abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, and I did not want to see it because, again, I wanted to see the perfect picture in my head of, this is it. I'm having children, might as well settle down, make sure that, I become this perfect, again, because I was not willing to look at my wounds for what they were. I was holding on a big mask of, I'm going to settle, I'm going to commit to that person, I'm going to make sure everything's perfect, I'm going to be the perfect mom and blah, blah, blah. So I was imagining things in my head of how I was going to make this work, right? But again, when we play ourselves, we do it on so many levels. When we actually start looking at things from a different perspective with like clear eyes, we realize that I was absolutely asking for help. I was calling the universe for help because the way this relationship unfolded, had I not been holding on to my faith, to my inner knowing that there is a powerful source or powerful power that's there to that sees all, that hears all, I think I would have probably just been I probably would have been dead. Like I'm laughing about it now, but a few years ago, I've attempted suicide twice, all my life. Yes, because things were had just escalated to an extent that I was no longer capable of accepting. So at some point, I had to question whether or not I was going to exist, to allow my soul to exist, or was I fully going to relinquish, to totally like die down. Okay, so this video here is just to let you know, like, when you are operating from a place of lack, from a place of unworthiness, you ultimately attract those vibrations into your life. You will attract individuals, you will attract situations that will mirror whatever you are feeling inside of you. So it's really important that when we are face to face with, our worst fears, our worst nightmares, ultimately we have to ask ourselves, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, what are you doing? What is it that you want? What is it that you really, really want? And then when we ask ourselves that question, we got to be willing to look at the answer, because the answer might not be that pretty. The solution might not be in the beginning very appealing. The courage and the bravery that it will take for you to get yourself out of that muck, out of that mud, is not going to be instantly. You're probably going to want to self-sabotage. You're probably going to want to stop yourself in the process because it's too hard. It's too painful. But in the end, it is rewarding. It really is rewarding. Like, once I start opening up my eyes to what it is that I had denied myself, dating all the way back to my childhood, I realized that, I had a lot of unfinished wounding, unfinished trauma that I needed to deal with, and that I'm still dealing with, because healing is an ongoing process. It's not something that you just, oh, well, I feel better today, let me close this book. It doesn't work like that. Like, you have constant reaction to things. You are constantly being challenged as to where are your boundaries. I had no boundaries. I had no boundaries whatsoever. And in that last relationship I was in, I had no boundaries whatsoever. So the level of manipulation, the level of gaslighting, the level of abuse, psychologically, verbally, and emotionally, was very, very deep, because I had no sense of boundaries. To me, there was no boundaries. There was no existing boundary as to what was allowed, what was not allowed, what could be said, what could not be said, what would I tolerate, what would I not tolerate. There was none of this. None. I'm telling you, none. And because I had accepted that I had children with that person, everything was just out in the open. Okay? I had accepted everything. Every type of treatment I've accepted. Every type of verbal abuse I've accepted. Every type of emotional manipulation, gaslight, I had accepted it all. Because again, I was coming from a place of unworthiness. So to me, at some point, I was totally fine with it. Because I grew up in an environment where there was a lot of yelling, Although I love my dad to death, he has passed away 2-3 years ago. I love him to death, but there was a lot of yelling in the house when I grew up. There was a lot of cursing, my dad cursing us off. That was just a natural thing. So in that relationship, I was replaying childhood environment, and it was totally okay. It was totally okay until it was no longer okay. That's when I had to look at things from a different perspective. I had to really question myself. Like, am I going to allow someone to tell me that this is my reality? You know, am I going to allow someone to tell me this is my truth, this is not my truth, this is what it is, and this is what's not? Like, this is what you're thinking, or this is not what you're thinking. At some point, I had come to questioning whether or not I was still living in my body, because I felt totally dead. I felt like the other person had taken over everything. My thinking process, my breathing process, my judgment process, everything. I was no longer questioning the validity of whatever that other person was approaching to me. That's how dangerous it had gone down that rabbit hole. I had gone down the rabbit hole, but like really down to a degree where, you know, that person had taken over my psyche. That's how bad it was. And had I not felt inspired to pull myself out of that hole, I would have probably ended up being in a mental hospital with a straitjacket, imagining things in my head that were probably not true, but that were planted in my psyche. So to everybody out there, you know, if you are in a position where your feelings are being not validated, you know, whatever you share with that person, whether it be a lover, a friend, or a family member, they're denying you your own existence. They're gaslighting you. They're telling you that you are that you're in your head, or that you're imagining things. You need to get the fuck out, straight up. I'll tell that anybody, any given day. Get the fuck out, straight up, because then it's your life that's being played. Your life is literally being on the line here. And if you're not willing to look at it, if you're willing to just accept it, you are going to die. Something is going to happen to you, and you are not going to know what the fuck happened, and it's going to be too late. Yep. So you guys, this is where I'm ending this video right here. Take whatever resonated in this video. Make sure you share. Please, guys, it's time for us to wake up. We deserve better. We are worthy. This feeling of unworthiness, I kicked it to the curb, let me tell you. But that's going to be for another video. Okay, you guys, stay safe, stay well. Peace.